it's time for On the Farm in Alabama, bringing farmers and agribusiness the latest news from Alabama Extension and the Auburn University College of Agriculture. Now here's your host, Alabama Extension Regional Agent, Eddie McGriff.
Good day. I'd like to welcome everybody today to On the Farm in Alabama, and today I'm talking with Cherokee farmer Nick McMichen. Nick, glad to have you back.
Glad to be here.
We're going to talk about a very important subject, and that's the amount of damage that deer do to not only soybeans, but cotton. And Nick, we tried something this year where we planted Sunn Hemp, which is a summer legume, as a border crop. And tell us about your experiences with how it helped cut down on the deer damage in your cotton.
Sure, Eddie. Deer deprivation has become a much worse situation in the past few years. And we had one particular farm that we had just about gotten to the point where we were going to have to set it out in trees or something because we couldn't grow anything on it except corn. They would eat cotton, soybeans, no need to plant soybeans, but what we did was the upper part of the field, there had actually been the topsoil had been mined off of it, so we took that area that was pretty much clay and we disked it up good, and so we planted the Sunn Hemp on it. So it was planted in an area that was, wasn't very highly productive, and the Sunn Hemp allowed us to take a 40-acre field that we'd been harvesting less than half of, and we think we might have lost 2 acres at the most out of it. The Sunn Hemp was so prolific that as soon as the deer would eat the bud out of it, it would put back out a fresh bud, so it had a fresh grazing area for the deer to keep them out of the cotton.
So what kind of yield do you think that you got with the Sunn Hemp versus without it?
Well, without the Sunn Hemp, out of that 40 acres, we'd be lucky to pick 20, if we did pick 20. And this year we picked 38, and it picked 2 bales of cotton to the acre on the 38 acres of it. So realistically, we saved 40 bales of cotton, you might say. Well, really about 36.
Well, the deer still did go out in the cotton and graze a little bit, but not to the extent that they had been without the Sunn Hemp there for them to graze on.
No, that is correct. If we'd have got the Sunn Hemp planted a little bit earlier, where it would have been established before the cotton came up, I feel like that we would have had the Sunn Hemp established and they would have stayed in it versus getting in the cotton. But 2 acres out of 40 is a manageable loss, and in other places it's going to be much more. So the trial that we did, I think that it showed a lot of promise, and we're going to be planting a lot of field borders. We have a seeder on a vertical tillage tool that we're going to go around and do some underproductive areas of the field, and it also is a good area for wildlife too. So other than deer, so you're providing feed, and it's a win-win situation for the farmer and for the environment.
Well, if you look at the Sunn Hemp information, you planted about the same time you do cotton. Sunn Hemp, like soybeans, it's legume, and plus it is light sensitive, so daylight sensitive. So you really need to plant it or wait to the end of April to plant it. So you can plant it a little bit ahead of your cotton, but not extremely ahead of your cotton.
Right.
For the first 30 days, it won't grow that prolific, but after 30 days, it makes tremendous growth, and that's the deer enjoy grazing on it more than the soybeans apparently.
Soybeans or the cotton, and like I say, if we'd have got it planted, the cotton was already up when we planted this. And if we'd have planted it when we planted the cotton, I feel like we'd have had close to zero damage or, less than an acre.
Well, if you plant it too early, it's daylight sensitive, so it's going to start blooming at a much shorter height. So the Sunn Hemp will get 8 to 10 feet tall.
Very, very prolific. They kept it grazed, but, after 30 days, it took off, and it really relieved the pressure off the cotton, so that it kept them in the Sunn Hemp.
Well, you seeded at about 25 pounds per acre, and you're using the grain drill, correct?
No, actually last year we just used a spin spreader and put it out, and we cut it and didn't even incorporate it, and it came up fine. It's such a fine seed that it came up, but this year we'll be using a vertical tillage tool with the air seeder on top of it.
Well, the ideal depth to plant Sunn Hemp is 3/4 of an inch, but it will come up even on top of the ground or even 2 inches deep. So really, if you can plant it at 3/4 of an inch, you'll get a lot better stand.
That's right.
Well, if you have deer damage, especially on cotton, and you want to try something to help prevent them, the Sunn Hemp may be something you need to look at. It is a summer legume, so it will produce about 120 pounds of nitrogen also. But the other thing is, how big of a border did you plant around your field?
We planted about a 40-foot border on the north end of the field, and that was where the deer were migrating out of the woods, and it pretty much kept them contained to that. But this year we're only going to be doing a 25-foot border, just in selected locations where the deer, we establish pattern of where they're coming out at.
All right, we want to thank Nick for being with us today on Our Farm in Alabama in this very important subject. So if you got a field of cotton especially that's being damaged by deer, you might want to look at the Sunn Hemp. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you, Ed.